Hey guys, Jonathan with jwaltphotography.com, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do sky replacements, especially for real estate photography. The reason we would want to do a sky replacement is because sometimes we just have a textureless sky, or we have these really high exposure areas because we've got a sun directly behind a house or in a spot that we don't want them to be. So what we're going to do is turn something like this into something like this. And it's pretty simple. I'm going to explain it as if you're a complete beginner, so even if this is your first day on Photoshop, you're going to know how to do it by the end of this video. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is have the photo. The second thing, and I'm going to start completely from scratch, so I'm going to erase all these layers down here. Let me put that one back. That was the... There we go. So now we're on this layer. This is the original photo. I cleaned it up a little bit, got the stick looking thing out of the driveway and got rid of these shadows. So this is what we're working with now. So now what I want to do is change this sky. So to do this, I need a sky to put over it. So I'm going to go to my web browser and I'm going to go to Envato Elements. This, you do need a subscription to this, but you can also take pictures of the sky randomly on days where there's nice clouds, and that's how you can build up your stuff. So I'm going to look for a sky that has a cool texture that I want. I could use any of these that I want. And if you're doing something more artistic or something like that, you can always change it. You just want to make sure there's not elements like these mountains in the sky if there's not elements in the photos. So I've already got one for it. So I'm going to go over here to Photoshop and I'm going to hit Control or Command O to open up a new photo. And then I'm going to go to my downloads to where I downloaded it from. And I'm going to use this one right here. And just hit open. Whenever I open this, it's going to put it on a new tab. To grab it from this tab to this tab, I'm going to select this four-way move tool and I'm going to click on the picture itself. I'm going to click and then I'm going to drag it over to this one. And then I'm going to come back down to the center. I'm still holding down the drag and then I'll let go. What this does is it puts it on top of this and it adds a new layer. So whenever you're thinking of layers, think of this as just a picture on top of a picture. It doesn't affect what's underneath it, and what's underneath it doesn't affect this one yet. So I've got this layer, and now as you can see, it's not the right size. So to make it the right size, I'm going to hit Control T. That lets me resize it. It gives me these little handles. Now I can just drag from the corners to cover. Keep going until the whole sky is covered with the sky that I want in here. Then I can just click anywhere and drag this around to make sure it's the right size. It's still not the right size, and you can go outside of the original photo because it really doesn't matter on that. So then I'm going to drag it over a little bit and just make sure it covers the whole sky. There we go. It covers the whole sky. I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard and that will put the transform in place. So I also don't want this white strip from this photo, so I'm going to resize it just a little bit more by pulling on the corner or pulling on the edge. There we go. Okay, so now it's resized. It looks good. If I was to toggle this on and off using the eye tool, I can see the sky up there. I can even change the opacity right here and make sure it looks like it's covering the front. And I can actually move this up a little bit now just by doing that. My main thing is to make sure that this grass doesn't go higher than the original tree line in the photo. So you can kind of see where the clouds would lay, and right there it looks pretty cool. So now I'm going to put this back up to full opacity and I'm going to turn it off using this eye tool. So that's going to turn that layer off. I'm going to click back on the original house layer and I'm going to go up to select and then color range. And on this, you might start with it looking something like this. So the goal is to see where the sky is, and you can hit shift and just start selecting all the colors in the sky until the sky is completely white, or as closest to white as you can get it. And hitting shift just adds to that area. So that's what it looks like, and you can adjust the fuzziness for how much of it you want there to be. Anything that's white, your clouds will show up in. Anything that's black, it masks out. So I'll probably do it like right there. Then I'm going to hit OK. It's going to give me some dancing ants all the way around my photo. because it selected everything within those color ranges that I selected. Okay, so here's our dancing ants. So we're gonna grab this layer now. We're actually gonna look at this layer and we're gonna turn it back on. And you can kind of see the outline with the dancing ants. We're gonna click on this layer and then we're gonna hit Control J or Command J if you're on a Mac. And the dancing ants go away. And it created a new layer with just the sky in the area we selected. Now we're gonna go to this layer 1 and we're gonna make it invisible. And as you can see, we've got the sky there. But you can also see we have the grass over the path because it's the same color as the sky. So what we have to do now is create a layer mask and erase the stuff we don't want. So to create a layer mask, we're gonna come over here and just underneath our layers, there's a rectangle with a circle. We're gonna click on that. And now we've got a layer mask on top of our original layer. We're gonna come over here to the tools and select the brush. And we can right click to resize this brush so it doesn't take us forever to do this. And whenever we paint with black, it just erases it. If we change the colors and paint with white, it will put it back. So we're going to paint with black and we're gonna make it as big as we need, and we're gonna erase this sky off of everything it shouldn't be on. So I'm just gonna kind of go over everything here quickly, and then I'll get closer for the details. And if you're unsure of where it's at now, because sometimes it blends in, you can always toggle this on and off and see where it's showing up on the house. So it's showing up here still, and so on. So now I'm going to use the zoom tool and click on the details. I'm going to get my brush back out and I'm going to make it smaller. And you can always click, shift, click, and that will give you straight lines for going around houses and straight objects. That's how I'm doing that so quickly. It's definitely a time saver. And then let's see. And notice I spilled out a little bit here. I'm actually going to hit X and paint the sky back in. Hit X again and that will go back to my original color. Okay, now I'm just going to go through the details. I'm going to speed this part up because this is going to be specific to your house. Okay, so we've got it looking pretty good now, but you'll notice over here where the trees meet the sky, it looks kind of weird. It just doesn't look like it belongs there. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go up to flow and we're gonna lower it way down to like 3-4%, maybe even 5%. We're gonna make our brush pretty big and we're gonna turn our hardness all the way down. Even make our brush a little bit bigger. So the goal with this is to use the feather of the brush to slowly blend the original sky that's behind this with the sky that we put on it. And this is how you get from having those hard lines around houses and stuff like that. So now you can see with that's what it did. So from this, again, we're gonna check it out. Just gonna paint over that a little bit, all the way across the horizon. You can go above the house a little bit. There we go. So now we have a house that looks pretty neat. The one last thing you need to do on this is create a gradient map. So the gradient map is going to allow you to match. At this point you could actually stop it. If it looks how you want it to look, you could stop it. And you could do your final touches if you wanted to change the brightness or the contrast or something. You could do that and it's going to affect the whole image as long as you're higher than that. So I might turn it up to there and I'm good to go. But you could also change with a gradient map. What the gradient map is going to allow you to do is blend colors. So if you use a sky that maybe you wanted to do a sunset on this photo, you can change it to where the whole image has correct colors for it. So what you're going to do is for the shadows, which is on the left, let me back up a little bit. So to get a gradient map, you're going to go down here to this, click on it, and click on gradient map. And then you're going to go to this bar, click on it, click on the left one. This is going to be your shadows, and we're going to find a color that will work for the shadows. You want a neutral color, especially if you're dealing with houses. and something around this level. And then you want close to white or light blue for the highlights. So maybe something like that. Hit OK. Hit OK again. Now what you're going to do is you're actually going to change the layer style on this. You're going to go up to normal and then scroll down to overlay. And it looks crazy right now, but you're going to change the opacity. You're going to bring the opacity way down and then just slowly put it up to like right there. Now the whole image has the same tone to it, has the same textures, and you can even pull it down and mess with it just a little bit, maybe right there. So what we've done on this image is we went from an image that looked like this to an image that looked like this. If you're wanting to sell a house, you need an image that looks like this. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this answers some questions. Once you're to this point, you save it like normal. You go to File, Save As, and then save it wherever you want to. If you want to save it to your desktop or to a specific file that you have set up for it, that's all you have to do. So change the format to a JPEG and then name it House. And I'm going to save this to just my desktop so I can find it easily and hit save. It's going to ask us what level we want it. I always want it the biggest possible. And there we go. We have saved the photo and we are good to go. So again, we went from something that looked like this to something that looks like this with a beautiful sky overlay. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and have a good one.